Tired of the same old breakfast routine? Are you ready to make mornings more fun and less stressful? Join me as I whip up a batch of delicious blueberry muffins that are so easy, even my 10-year-olds could make them. And I'm about to show you a secret ingredient that makes these muffins as nutritious as they are delicious. So grab an apron and let's get baking. Hi, I'm Andrea, and welcome to the Grit and Grace Mom channel. Our focus here is helping busy moms save time and money in the kitchen so they have more time and money available for the things that matter most. Let's talk about breakfast, shall we? Breakfast is, historically speaking, kind of a stressful time for a lot of moms. The mornings can be a hectic time, a busy time. A lot of times you might be rushing kids off to school. You might be trying to get to work yourself. And so one of the things that can get lost in the cracks is a healthy breakfast. So as a busy mom, I am always on the lookout for easy grab and go options for breakfast to help make mornings run more smoothly. And on the face of it, muffins would seem to fit the bill, right? You know, they're small, they're portable, they fit so nicely in your hands. But the problem with most muffin recipes is they're basically cake for breakfast. I mean, there's a lot of sugar in them, not necessarily a lot of healthy ingredients. Have you ever looked at the calorie count on a Costco muffin? If you haven't, don't do it. You'd never have one again. But so we haven't done a lot of muffins. But this muffin recipe came under my radar when one morning my daughter asked me to make muffins for her for breakfast. And I said no for all of the reasons I just listed. And she just said, okay, and made them herself. She picked up this cookbook that we had in our kitchen and just made these blueberry muffins. And actually, as I look through the ingredients, it's not too bad. And there's a secret ingredient, which I'll be sharing with you, which ups the nutrition content a little bit. And they were really delicious. So what do we need for these blueberry muffins? We will need 3 cups plus 1 tablespoon of flour, 1 cup of sugar, 1 tablespoon baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1.5 cups of plain yogurt, 2 large eggs, 8 tablespoons of butter melted and cooled, and 1.5 cups of blueberries, fresh or frozen.
First thing that we are going to do is we are going to start the oven preheating to 375 degrees. While the oven is preheating, I am going to go ahead and start melting the butter. So it's 8 tablespoons of butter, which is the equivalent of 1 stick or half of a brick of Kerrygold butter, which is what I'm using here. So get the heat on it. While that butter is melting, we're going to start mixing our dry ingredients. So I've got 3 cups of flour, 1 cup of sugar, 1 tablespoon baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon baking soda, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And I'm going to whisk those dry ingredients together until it's nice and smooth and there are no lumps. Next, in a separate bowl, I'm going to crack 2 eggs. And remember that secret ingredient I told you about in the intro? So the recipe calls for 1.5 cups of plain yogurt, but we are actually going to be using Greek yogurt. That's right, Greek yogurt. It's got a higher protein content, so that's going to lead to a little bit more nutrition and greater satiety in this muffins, which is basically a fancy way of saying your kids won't be hungry an hour later. Okay, so I'm going to whisk that all together until it's nice and smooth. Want to get those lumps out of it. Then I'm going to pour that yogurt and egg mixture into the dry ingredients. Scrape all that goodness out of there, and then using that rubber spatula, I am going to mix those dry ingredients together. Now here's a tricky thing about cooking is messy sometimes. The tricky thing about cooking and baking is you don't want to over mix the muffins, but you do want to make it so that there's no more dry flour visible. So you see how I'm really digging down to the bottom? This dough is it's actually more of a dough. Usually you think of muffin batter. This is more like a dough. It's pretty thick, actually, so don't be alarmed by that. It is a pretty thick dough-like batter. So I'm just digging down deep, trying to get all those bits of dry flour incorporated into the wet ingredients. If you're going to use regular yogurt instead of Greek yogurt, it might not be as dry, but we're going with Greek yogurt because we want more protein. Now I'm pouring that melted butter over top of it, and I am going to continue to incorporate it as best I can, scraping the sides and the bottom of the bowl. Those scrapers are a really good tool. If you don't have yourself a scraper, I suggest you get yourself a rubber scraper because it really does an effective job of scraping down the sides of a bowl, much more so than a metal spoon does. Anyway, I am scraping. I'm still scraping. Okay, so now we have 1.5 cups of blueberries, and you take 1 tablespoon of flour and just toss them to coat. And then we're going to fold those blueberries into the batter. Now, the recipe says you can use fresh or frozen blueberries. I am using frozen because they are a heck of a lot cheaper than fresh. And I happen to have a big old bag from Costco in my freezer. But if you have fresh, those are tasty as well. Now, you take a 1/3 cup and then scoop it into the tray. I'm using a silicone baking tray here, which is really awesome. I can link that on Amazon. Oh, editing magic. It's all in. Now, I put those in the oven at 25 minutes. 25 minutes later, we pull them out and they are golden brown. Now, the nice thing about the silicone trays is watch this. It just pops right out of that tray. So I'm going to take the muffin out, put it on a plate, and doesn't that look delicious?
There you have it, a simple, delicious blueberry muffin recipe that is so easy, even your kids can make it. Hey, did you try it? If you did, let me know down in the comments below how you liked it, as well as what's your favorite way to enjoy blueberry muffins. I'd love to know. If this video has been helpful to you, then please consider subscribing for more easy, family-friendly recipes like this. As always, thank you for spending this time with me, and I'll see you next time.